then wet. Or a dry part, but that's what corn you can turn out. That's what you've got. It's dryish line. It's not circuit. We haven't, but it's definitely brightening up where you my right. Good evening, everyone. I'm very rapidly and this being a small dry race, the word was that here was only to change tyres. They stuck on slick, they were not on one set of tyres. Of course, what we now say, whether they so this is where everybody except the engineers and mechanics attending their particular cars must leave the grid. Just the engineers now and mechanics stay with the car, but there is now the prospect, if the weather stays as it is, that we are going to have tyre changes because they'll, before the end of the race, find that their wet weather tyres are no longer suitable for a rapidly drying circuit. I don't think it would be far too well ridiculous to suggest that anybody would start racing and things like that. They've been able to do a certain portion of the race. We've got something I'm seeing there, and the shadow of the bridge across the straight underneath the starting bridge. I haven't mentioned it can go away. Well, it's definitely, we have got this in the sun to say. Still work going on around the Margaret Remy car, but I think the features that they've taken on now being put back on again. No, it's not. So a lot of concern about that car, whatever the problem is, on this overseeing the whole operation. There's some liquid still to go in as well. I think we'll leave it done. And really ready to go on. Ron Dennis supervising. As people move away, see what's a bit more closely what is there. Yes, it's right down. It's almost as though it was in the cooler maybe down in the left rear of the car, one of the radiators there. Which one that is, whether that's an oil or a water underturn. Looks as though it was to do with that, however. Right, tyre wall is coming off. The Ferrari there, Gerhard Berger had his tyre walls on, they've come off. Looking further down the grid, it seems to me that no one else has. Oh yes, looking right back there, Mark Lundgren's still got his tyre walls on, as has the other Ligier coming off Martin Brunton's car now. And the 1 minute signal is held up now. I'm sure all of you are by now very familiar with the starting procedure for a Grand Prix because it's now emulated in almost every other category of racing internationally too, and that is that the cars will get the final parade or reconnaissance of that behind.
And JJ Leto's done the bright thing. He has put slicks on. He has taken the gamble. He is on slicks. He's in the pit lane. He can afford to drop back for a couple of laps because he'll be last anyway while he finds out the conditions. And I think JJ Leto could have a very good race from there.
So do I. It's one of my dark horses for victory, and what an incredibly popular and innovative victory it would be, as you see Michele Alboreto rounding the left-hander at Goddard. When you see, there's the man with the green flag. When you see the red, it will be from 4 to 7 seconds before the green and the start of the 76th lap. European Grand Prix. Prost gets away well, so does Hill, so does Schumacher. Wendlinger is coming up well. Senna is crowded out and is down to 5th position, and Wendlinger is up into 3rd place ahead of Schumacher. Brilliant start by the Austrian driver in the black Sauber. Prost leads, Hill 2nd, Wendlinger is 3rd, and Ayrton Senna is up to 4th position ahead of Schumacher and challenging Wendlinger as they go round the right-hander into the old hairpin. Senna is up to 3rd.
And after being crowded at the start, a quite brilliant couple of corners by Ayrton Senna. Tremendous stuff. He muscled his way back into the contention at Redgate. He's going inside Damon Hill. And Senna into 2nd place already. And he's giving it absolutely everything in the wet part of the race.
So now, as before, the two great rivals, and that's Andretti. He's done it again on the very first lap. Andretti is out, as he was in Brazil, as he almost was in South Africa. 3 Grand Prix, and he has only done 3 full laps, and so out is Wendlinger. So 2 retirements already. Michael Andretti and Carl Wendlinger, and Senna goes through into the lead. He's passed Alain Prost, so the McLaren leads. Prost 2nd, Hill is 3rd, a tremendous gap between the 3rd and 4th cars.
Yes, and that must be caused by the Andretti and Wendlinger incident. We would assume that they may have had a coming together. We'll try and find out. Senna going away, but I expect that Damon Hill will be looking for a way past his team leader Alain Prost, who doesn't like the wet and won't be in a hurry. Senna, you see, on opposite knock there out of Redgate, sliding his car. And Senna took to the wetter part of the track to get past people going down this hill here on the first lap to the old hairpin. But with the circuit drying out, Senna needs to get a really big lead if he can, because the Williams is infinitely superior. And above all, Senna wants to have enough lead that he can get his tyres changed and still be in the lead when it all settles, because then he'll feel that he may be able to hold off the Williamses because overtaking is so difficult. Now, Michael Andretti, this is the first lap replay, and that we saw a tangle between Wendlinger and Andretti, two known hard chargers, but we didn't see how it actually developed. That's 2nd and 3rd.
And what we haven't had a chance to tell you, that is in an astounding 4th position as Rubens Barrichello, the Brazilian driver in the Jordan. So Senna leads, Prost 2nd, Hill is in 3rd place, Barrichello is in 4th position, Alesi in the Ferrari is 5th, Schumacher is in 6th position, and there goes Prost with Damon Hill tucked up behind him. Barrichello in 4th position, Alesi 5th, Schumacher 6th, Berger is 7th, Johnny Herbert is 8th, Patrese is 9th, Zanardi is 10th, Derek Warwick is 11th, and in 12th position is Fabrizio Barbazza, the Italian driver in the Minardi Ford.
That was one of the Ligiers into the pits.
It was Martin Brundle on lap 7, and that's an intelligent move. He's come in early. It may still be a bit damp in parts when he goes out, but he'll be very aware of the situation. See the plumes of steam from his tyres with wheel spin as he sprints out, and Martin Brundle was well down the field, but he's going to start to improve now as past Katayama. To lap him goes Ayrton Senna at the hairpin. Is the Brazilian going to come in this time?
Well, Katayama has changed onto slicks, and Ayrton Senna may have had a chance to look at Katayama's performance on slicks, because he came in as well as Brundle just a lap before. Brundle's exit from the pits was fairly combative, I thought, but he seemed to get on all right round Redgate.
Senna coming up to Michele Alboreto in the Lola Ferrari, and on lap 8 he's under 6 seconds ahead of Prost now, the traditional rivals who had their gigantic falling out in the McLaren team. And Martin Brundle is out. Martin Brundle, as he has been so many times recently for Benetton and for Ligier, out of the race. He's yet to finish a race for the French team.
Yes, so that's a spin, and he was on slicks, and he wasn't too quick the first lap. We didn't get a chance to see how well he was getting on, but that's a dangerous place to be parking. The marshals will, of course, move that very quickly, but that will be a big, big disappointment for Martin Brundle. He really needed a result here. He's not had a good start to the season, but then, having said that, he had a bad start to last season, got a very good season after that, so there's plenty of time for him to make amends. There's a lazy onto slicks, he is just leaving the pits. But certainly Senna will want to have at least a cushion of at least 4 seconds if he can over Prost, and there's a back marker delaying him a little bit, maybe, in order to be sure to rejoin the race in the lead. And I would think the lap times are starting to come down now, which means... And I have a report from the pits that they look as if they're starting to take the tyre warmers off Senna's tyres. There's Senna. No, he stayed out this time. That's Goddard's, I think. Ayrton Senna stays out for another lap. And Jonathan Palmer is in the pits talking to Martin Brundle.
Martin, we saw the aftermath of what looked like a spin. Was that a rather too brave a decision to go onto slicks early, do you think?
Yeah, I probably called a bit early. I think the track is ready for slicks, but I just on the automatic downshift, just locked the rear wheel slightly, and the engine stalled, which is a bit of a problem when it's running so cold, and I couldn't restart the engine and ended up spinning. Is a bad thing.
Very hard luck.
Well, there he is, and you can see that it looks as though he's made a sensible decision. We'll watch now the progress of Damon Hill in comparison with team leader Alain Prost in the Williams Renault, who is still in second place, 5 seconds, a tenth of a second less than 5 seconds actually.
Ayrton Senna in. Senna coming into the pits. So Senna is going to... The McLaren team are going to have to move it fast to get Senna out in the lead. Or in front of Hill, that is, on the road. The effective lead of those who have changed tyres. And 8 seconds we have there. Now.
Leads the European Grand Prix on lap 19. There is the new leader coming up to lap, Michele Alboreto in the Lola Ferrari, which is now being completely redesigned and rebuilt. The first design was not successful, and Prost's stop is going to be critical. The Williams team were testing themselves this morning in the pit lane, and they were actually changing all 4 wheels and tyres from stopping, and there's Barrichello. who is now in second position. And there is Senna, who is in third position. And in the background is Damon Hill. So a new Brazilian is up into the top three, Rubens Barrichello. And I was saying the Williams team were actually changing four wheels and tyres in 3.5 seconds this morning, and they did it not once but 3 times. Prost is coming in. Now, is Alain Prost going to lose the lead? There is no doubt about the fact that he's coming in for tyres, because there he is. And I'm watching. I'll let you know if Ayrton Senna goes through. So Ayrton Senna is going through now. He passes Alain Prost at that moment. And 7.3, not a particularly good stop. So there is Prost emerging, and Ayrton Senna is again in the lead of the European Grand Prix on lap 20 on slick tyres.
And Prost got away just ahead of Damon Hill, which will at least please Prost that hasn't got his teammate to have to worry about, and it will disappoint Damon Hill, who goes through there behind the Lotus of Alex Zanardi. So Senna leads Prost by 5 seconds, with Damon Hill third ahead of Lacey. Barrichello down from second to 5th position. Michael Schumacher not having a good race in the new Benetton, probably through because of the traction control problem. And Johnny Herbert is in 7th position. Two are having are so busy battling it away amongst themselves that they haven't spotted Senna behind them, and this will be very frustrating. And there you saw some rain on the camera lens. Oh dear, oh dear. And Senna had a bit of a tangle there. What happened to Senna and Fittipaldi? Senna got through, and all over the place.
And Blundell off into the gravel. Senna has bullied his way through ahead of Fittipaldi. I don't mean that unkindly. He was using all his superior aggression and skill. And Mark Blundell joins his teammate Martin Brundle as a retiree in the European Grand Prix on lap 21. And Ayrton Senna leads now. Alain Prost was 5 seconds behind. Senna was held up in traffic. Prost was a bit. Prost has gone into the pits.
And I suspect he's going back onto wets. He is. Prost straight back onto wets. Now he's taking a gamble to get that advantage early, but it's not raining that hard. Now we'll have a look and see. There's going to be, and Michael Schumacher on his dry tyres is off, and he's buried in gravel, and that will be the end of the race for Michael Schumacher. Now Prost has taken a gamble, but I fancy it's a good one, because the rain is now coming down. We can see it through the window here. So, will Senna come in on the next lap? For sure he will have been informed of that by the McLaren pit. You'll see the rain on his visor.
Hill was 12.5 seconds behind Ayrton Senna, who's now on his 25th lap. And Hill is going into the pits. So Senna is building up the lead, because now with Hill coming into the pits in second position to change tyres, this is obviously going to drop the Englishman. But anyway, he had lost 4 seconds to Ayrton Senna on that previous lap.
Oh, it's interesting, because Senna's lap time is still 1:26.3, and Prost has gone past, and he managed at 27. So Senna's still lapping marginally quicker than Prost, and the McLaren team at the moment, as long as he can lap as quickly as the Williamses, he can afford to stay out. It's a short lap here, and even if the rain gets a bit harder, he should still have time to be able to get in and use that lead to get out again, still in the lead. But it's a very interesting tactical battle going on now. This is pure tactics. McLaren can see that Senna is lapping as quickly as the Williamses. Every lap they will monitor the situation. Senna stays out. Remember, he did this at Spa last year and it nearly paid off. That's Riccardo Patrese in the pits going on to wets, and a lot of the people are changing on to wets.
In 4th place, right behind Barrichello now. You're looking at the race between the brilliant young Brazilian and the experienced, most successful Grand Prix driver of all time, Alain Prost, who is in 4th position, jostling to take the Jordan Hart as they come down to the S's. The superior horsepower of the Renault will not be all that much of a benefit in these moist conditions, but Barrichello's maturity is quite astounding. He's holding Prost off as they sweep left. Senna has gone through, he's on lap 27, still in the low 126s.
And still this rain doesn't make up its mind, because it's only spitting with rain. Well, it's slightly more than spitting. It's absolutely marginal as to whether it's going to make the track any wetter. I think Senna now has committed himself to a policy that he has to stay out until his lap times get worse, as still Barrichello holds off Alain Prost, and this will be very good news for Ayrton Senna. And Prost, I think, has got through on getting the power down on the wet tyres there, got inside Barrichello, so Prost moves up into 3rd place. And Senna has decided it's time for wet. Senna's going for the pits, decided that the rain has set. I'm quite surprised, and I thought that he was committed to this course, but he should be able to get away still in the lead.
Well, this is it. There's Senna. I'm watching the Goddard corner, and Senna is on wets again. He started on wets, went to slicks, back to wets now, and Alain Prost is still not in sight as Ayrton Senna goes into Redgate with a diminished lead, but nevertheless a lead, and Alain Prost exits the Goddard corner now as there is Prost now.
Yes, and Anasi has just dropped out. There he is in the pits. He's just gone to go onto wets. He was running on slicks, and that's a slow stop. He's being held up. There's a problem on one of the wheels, the left front. The lazy is finally released, 14 seconds, and that's some 8 seconds or so too late. And there's Ayrton Senna now. 14.7 seconds his lead over Alain Prost, and he's got a nice little group of cars between himself and Prost, which will please him. He's had to fight his way past that group. And there's Suzuki, yet another one. Well, he's still moving.
Well, I hope you're still with it in this confusing situation we've got as first one driver and then another goes in for tyres. And Barrichello passes Christian Fittipaldi, and behind him is Damon Hill, so you're looking at the fourth place man. Just in front of him is Fittipaldi, who is sandwiched between the third and fourth men, because in front of Fittipaldi in the Jordan Hart is Barrichello. Fifth is Alesi in the Ferrari, sixth is still Johnny Herbert, seventh is Patrese, eighth is Barbazza, ninth is Warwick, 10th is Fittipaldi, 11th is Thierry Boutsen, in spite of the fact that he's too big for the Jordan and has had gearbox problems, and in 12th position the second Lotus of Sandro Zanardi, lap 33. We're coming up to half distance and they're going to have to go on to slicks.
And Prost has gone in. Senna has stayed out, and I think Senna is covering Prost's move, and I strongly suspect that Senna will come in next time round. I'm sure that would be the right tactic anyway, not a minute too late. If anything, I thought Senna should have come in then, and a good quick stop by the Williams team, but Prost slow away. They had the car off the jacks very quickly, but he didn't make a very, very quick departure.
8.7 seconds was the gap between Senna and Prost on lap 34. Prost has come in 7.1 seconds, so the gap will have increased to some 15 seconds. But if Ayrton Senna comes in, it's going to be dependent on the McLaren mechanics, who are always good under pressure. He's in. Ayrton Senna is coming in, and he was leading Prost by about 15 seconds, and the Brazilian comes up to the line now, and the Prost time was 7.12 seconds at the stop. Smooth stop. Up goes the car on the jacks, off come the old wet tyres, on go the new slicks which have been preheated. Alain Prost is gaining all the time. Senna is longer than Prost already, much longer, much longer. I'm looking for Prost. Prost leads. Prost has gone through in the lead on lap 35. There he is into Redgate. Alain Prost leads the European Grand Prix as Ayrton Senna emerges from the pit lane. And Hill is changing tyres now. So for what, the third time Damon Hill changes tyres, Alesi will probably have got ahead of him. I didn't see him, to be quite honest, because I was so busy looking at Damon Hill. But anyway, Alain Prost on lap 35, which is 1 lap of half distance in the European Grand Prix, with the weather conditions looking as though they're settling, and I'm not expecting any more tyre changes now, with the leaders both on the right tyres. There is Prost coming up to Riccardo Patrese, who is in 7th position.
Yes, it all went wrong for Senna there. There was a big problem on the right rear wheel of his McLaren. Impossible for us to see what it is, but maybe Jonathan can suss that out down in the pits.
Well, the problem was, James, that the right rear wheel nut got cross-threaded and of course had to be undone again, and that all took too long.
Prost has just speeded up. He's gone round in 1 minute 22.9, and he leads Ayrton Senna by 7 seconds and on the half-distance lap. Barrichello still magnificently third, 3 seconds ahead of Damon Hill. And Damon Hill is a long way ahead of Jean Alesi, who just seen in the pits. Johnny Herbert in 6th position. Patrese is in 7th place. There is Prost. Now his lead was 6.8 seconds. Senna looks as though he's closed up a bit to me visually. 6.8, it's 6.1 now. So Senna has taken 7/10 of a second out of Prost's lead with the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 22.545. There we are, nearly 110 miles an hour average.
It's Alain Prost in the pits. Alain Prost spotted the rain has started again, and Prost has gone straight on for tyres, didn't delay. So Prost in. Now what will Senna do? Senna, I think, stayed out, and the rain is quite heavy this time. And the McLaren pit are looking very relaxed and calm. They haven't laid out a new set of wets as yet for Senna. So it may well be. And Damon Hill is now heading for the pits. So he's moving on to wet, both Williamses. I'm surprised that the team didn't possibly keep it covered, but Hill wasn't lapping quite as quickly as Senna, not surprisingly, on these very tricky conditions on slick tyres. There's a good close-up of a rear wheel change, and lovely stop, and you saw him spin those rear wheels, and he got away very well. As the car hit the deck, Damon Hill had the rear wheels spinning, and that was just how it should be done.
Barrichello still third, Damon Hill still fourth, Herbert is fifth, Patrese is sixth, Warwick is seventh, Babazza is eighth. Now there is Rubens Barrichello.
The only thing that matters to Senna for the moment is that there's no more rain. If there's no more rain, or no more rain until after the pursuing Williamses have been forced to change back onto dries, then he'll have a very big lead, and he'll be able to play this race as he wants, going inside John, and he's very cross with Johnny Herbert for not helping him by. And Jonathan Palmer tells us of the pits that the rain is coming back again, so oh dear, the conditions changing all the time. And certainly you saw Senna there sawing away at the wheel. Let's see, well, he was held up on that lap, not a representative time.
And into the pits comes Prost. So for yet another set of tyres, Alain Prost comes in, and this of course is going to disadvantage him compared with Senna, who is already on the slick tyres, the dry tyres that Alain Prost is changing to. And even if it's a good stop, and it's not all that Brazilian, and he stalled it. Alain Prost has stalled it. And this is losing the race for Alain Prost without a doubt, and it's giving Rubens Barrichello the opportunity to move up into second place with the Frenchman stuck in the pits. His engine not running, and the mechanics trying desperately to get the starter motor onto the back of the car. And
I think he's stuck in gear. I think he stalled it with the car in gear, and without power it may be that he can't get it into neutral. And as Damon Hill coming through into third place as Alain Prost finally gets going, and well, really the race is already on, and Senna goes through a lap. So Senna laps Prost as he comes out of his pit, and really Senna, who was initially unlucky in that he made the right decision first to go back onto wets, when a lap later that decision was a wrong one, but he had no way of knowing, and he lost the lead then when he got a problem with a wheel stuck. This time Prost, really it's self-inflicted. It was too snap a decision to go for the pits and get back onto wets, and then the mistake in the pits as well, and Prost is now lapped and out of this race, and Senna has an enormously commanding lead.
Is the Jordan Hart of Rubens Barrichello, passing and lapping Riccardo Patrese. That's how quick the young Brazilian is going. And Senna is now 1 minute and 12 seconds ahead of the man you are watching in second position, with Damon Hill in third place. Alain Prost down to fourth position after that quite appalling pit stop when he stalled his engine. Maybe it jammed in gear, but for whatever reason it lost him a gigantic amount of time.
Damon Hill comes in to go back onto slicks, coming in a little bit quickly, just locking brakes now, but he stops on his mark, so that's all right. And certainly don't want to hang around. That right rear has changed absolutely amazingly quickly, and a very good efficient stop for Damon Hill. No hurry for Ayrton Senna now, a massive lead of over a minute, and he is not far off lapping the whole field.
Well, he's carved his way past two of them. He's now coming up to Riccardo Patrese on his 52nd lap and seemingly on his way to a 38th Grand Prix victory and the second in succession. So Senna leads, Barrichello in second position, Damon Hill in third place, Alain Prost a lap down in fourth position, Johnny Herbert is fifth, and Riccardo Patrese is in sixth position in the Benetton. Damon Hill passes Alain Prost, makes no bones about it either. And remember that Alain Prost is a lap behind Ayrton Senna, so he's now a lap behind Damon Hill and dropping back all the time. So I can only suppose that Alain Prost has got some problem in the cockpit that I don't know about, because with no disrespect to Damon Hill, in only his third Grand Prix, for him to catch and pass Alain Prost as conclusively as he did is an indication that something is amiss with the Frenchman or his car. And Senna is on his 54th lap now, as the men you are seeing climb up the hill to complete another lap.
Yes, and Senna closing in on Rubens Barrichello, and Prost is heading for the pits. Alain Prost. So one would say that Alain Prost must have some sort of a problem, because he's on the right tyres. No, maybe he's going to wets again, because it looks as if it's raining. No? Oh, he maybe had a loose wheel. And that could well be the case. With all this tyre stopping. Meanwhile, new fastest lap for Ayrton Senna. And I say closing in on Barrichello, and after which, if he passes him, he will have lapped the entire field.
Coming into the pits, Ayrton Senna. Now he can come into the pits and take an enormous amount of time. He's gone straight through. What on earth is happening? Have you got any idea, James?
No, I can't explain that unless he came in and the team said we're not ready, stay out. But this really is most extraordinary, because he may well get penalised. I don't think you're allowed to go through the pits without stopping. Jonathan Palmer's down in the pits.
I think you're about right there, James. Senna called for wet tyres. He came in, but the team just weren't quite ready. So to save wasting his time, they sent him off for another lap.
The gap will obviously come down, but with a 1 minute and 27 second lead, which is what he had, to come in and take on another set of wet tyres. So Senna has obviously decided to play safe on slippery conditions, to take no chances at all.
And what a shame. He said before the race that the car was good enough that if it finished he'd be in the points, and sure enough he was headed for the points, and some sort of mechanical drama right at the end of the race. Big disappointment, but at the same time both he and the team will be very encouraged. So, and Damon Hill headed for the pits, so the lead to Senna will be, it was 1 minute 10 seconds after that. A lot more now, as he puts on yet another set of wet tyres. And looking like not a new set, see no labels on them, so that's interesting. So they maybe did have to use their best second-hand set. Hill out of the pits. I would be surprised if Prost makes a serious challenge to Damon Hill unless the circuit really dries more, because he is on the right rubber for these, and then Prost is in fact coming in. So Prost has gone for discretion rather than valour.
start was good, you know, we read the conditions perfectly. The car was fantastic, you know, it's a shame really, it'd be nice to have brought it home in the points, but we had a gearbox failure, something's broke on the drive shaft, and lost all the drive to the car.
Thank you very much, Nick.
Okay, cheers.
Derek Warwick walks away. They'll know what to do next time for the next Grand Prix, the San Marino Grand Prix. This is Damon Hill coming up in second place, and Johnny Herbert's spin. This is it. This is the Englishman going off on the Lotus, and he caught it beautifully. Managed to keep. This is always the problem, of course. You can so very easily, going from one gear to another, lose the edge. Oh, and he just overdoes it on the slippery conditions, but manages to keep the Lotus pointing straight in the end and does not lose his 5th position. And out goes Barrichello. That is Rubens Barrichello. What a bitter blow for him. My goodness. We're watching Johnny Herbert, who is in 4th position, which will equal his best previous finish if he stays there, with Damon Hill in 2nd place on the same lap as Ayrton Senna. A lap ahead of Alain Prost in 3rd position, who is on the same lap as Johnny Herbert that we are looking at in 4th position. And potentially victorious lap with only 2.5 miles to go after one of the best tactical drives I have ever seen. Both he and his McLaren teammates have read the race perfectly, made the right judgments about when to come in for tyre changes. They always seem to be one step ahead of the Williams team of Alain Prost and Damon Hill in that respect, and Senna is now on his 76th and last lap into Redgate. So if Senna finishes this last 2.5 miles, it will be for his yet another Grand Prix win, his 38th. Incredible.
Yes, and the rain is really tipping down now, but that won't worry Ayrton Senna. He's got the big chunky wet weather tyres on, and he's in absolutely no hurry at all. Has an enormous lead. Damon Hill, remember, in a fine 2nd place, driven a very good and steady race at the least, and a pretty quick race at the best of times, and has shown a very, very promising turn of speed. Alain Prost in 3rd place. Now look at that rain. There's Johnny Herbert ahead of him in a fine 4th place.
He's almost home for yet another Grand Prix victory, and it will have pleased him more than anything else, I think, that he's beaten his arch rival Alain Prost in what Senna regards as superior equipment in terms of the Williams car and the Renault engine. But Damon Hill, 2nd for Williams. So here is Ayrton Senna across the line, and it is victory for the Brazilian for the 38th time. The conditions may have deteriorated, but it was in conditions like this that Ayrton Senna won his first Grand Prix for Lotus in Portugal in 1985. I've done it, he says. Out comes the fist of victory, and Senna has got another 10 World Championship points.
Well, Damon Hill still just out at the last corner, over the line, second place and 6 points. 2 second places on the trot for Damon Hill, and he has every reason to be delighted with that result. He drove a very sensible race. He deserved in every way to beat his teammate Alan Prost. His tactics were sensible and solid at all times, and shows a lot of promise for the future. But Ayrton Senna, without a doubt, the man of the race. He took the McLaren by the scruff of the neck in the conditions, was well as Alain Prost coming through the S's into Melbourne hairpin on his way to a relatively distant third place.
was it. Right? Yeah, but the mechanic doesn't. That's crazy race. This car will be. I can't remember how many times it stopped.
How many times did you stop?
I don't know, 4, I don't know.
Stop there.
No, it's enough, it's enough. Take a shot of the top, please. Yeah. From here, just from here. No.
And now for the winning constructor. What a race. Tom Wheatcroft presents Ayrton Senna, the owner. Tom Wheatcroft, the owner of Donington Park Circuit, with the Donington Cup and the Sega Cup. There it is, the Sega Cup. And Tom Wheatcroft, the owner of the circuit, fulfilling a dream today, presenting Ayrton with the Donington Cup. And now Mr. Nick Alexander, the MD of Sega Europe, presents the trophy to the winning constructor, Ron Dennis, the managing director of McLaren. And Sir John Rogers, the executive chairman of RAC Motorsports Division and the vice chairman of the RAC, presents the trophy to Damon Hill. Second place for Damon Hill. And he presents the trophy to the third place driver, Alain Prost. And now, gentlemen, the champagne.
Ayrton, congratulations first of all on a brilliant victory. Conditions were certainly extremely difficult, but you seem to make the best of them.
Of course, conditions were difficult. I don't know how many times we stopped for tires. I think it's surely the record in any race of pit stops. Driving with slicks in damp and really slippery conditions was tremendous effort, because you just don't get the feeling from the car, and you have to commit yourself to certain corners, and you just can be off. So I had to gamble on this in some occasions, because on wet tires my car was a bit funny with low water in the circuit. When there was a lot of water it was okay, but with just light water or damp on wet tires my car was not working well. So I had to gamble on the slicks even on damp conditions, and it paid off. And of course I'm over the moon with the result, and I don't know what to say. I'd like to thank you all, the marshals and the people who helped organize this Grand Prix. Donington is a place where I first drove my Formula 1 car, my whole career, back in '83. Was a Williams then, and now I won with the McLaren. So I'm over the moon. Thank you to everyone, and thank you.
Clearly it was a race in which decisions for tyre changes were absolutely vital. Who made those decisions? Was it you or the team, or a combination?
Sometimes the team pushed me hard to change tires, and I insist on my own mind, and eventually I came in. And sometimes I think they told me to come and I didn't come, and then I told them I was coming and they weren't ready, so I had to go through. And conditions like this is gambling, and it's taking chances that pays off. And I think we gambled good and we got the result, and the mechanics did superb work for us. They changed our alternator this morning to the afternoon. They made the improvisation because wasn't enough time to change it, so they had to make a new wire going outside the car to connect the new alternators. You know, creativity in those moments. It wins a race like this, and it was not only mine but the team too.
Had you got the best car in the conditions, do you think, today?
Well, you know what driving is like. You've been there. I think I had a good car. I don't know whether it was the best, but I had a good car.
Damon, moving on to you. You must be absolutely delighted. Another marvellous second place in very challenging conditions too. How was the race for you?
It was a nightmare. I mean, I have to say it was the worst race you'd ever want to be in, because you just didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, you could see the clouds in one part of the circuit, you see umbrellas up in one part of the circuit, in another part it was dry. And obviously it just never made his mind up. And I want to thank, I think a special thanks to the Williams pit crew, because I came into the pit lane, locked up a few times, and they just stayed in their places like good soldiers. They were brilliant. And it was such a difficult race. A lot of conversation on the radio, and it's very difficult to break your concentration to talk on the radio. But I'm very, very pleased. I mean, I don't know how I came second, because I didn't know where I was for a lot of the race.
Again, on that question of tyre change decisions, Alain and Ayrton have got vast amount more experience than you have, and a better place to make those decisions themselves. Were you relying more on the team to give you direction? Yeah, I have to say I've still got a lot to learn about Grand Prix racing. I mean, the races are so long, that's the difference, and every decision is very, very crucial. But it was impossible really to make the right decision today. I mean, if you'd stayed on slicks, you could probably have gone through the whole race on slicks. Well, apart from the first 20 laps or so. But you'd have been really touch and go for some of the periods when it was spitting. But then it only was like that for like 10 laps, and then you could have gone back to slicks again. So difficult. It seemed that in those first 15 laps you were pushing Alain very hard. Could you have got by him? Well, it was in the early part. It was obviously difficult to push that hard. I mean, we're still feeling the conditions, and very difficult on a circuit like this to get close. And Alan was pushing quite hard as well. So I think it would have been difficult and risky, which wasn't really the right time to make risky decisions like that. Alain, moving on to you, third place. Conditions that you don't particularly enjoy, we know this, but you were very much in the hunt for the lead until you had a particularly long pit stop, I think.
Yes, I mean it would be very long to tell everything that happened for me in the race, but mainly I've done some good decision to stop for the tires, especially at the beginning. The car was handling not bad at all in the wet tires, but I've stolen the engine. My clutch was coming to be, difficult, and I've stolen the engine one stage, and I lost maybe, I don't know, 30, 40 seconds, even more than that. But from the beginning, I had a big gearbox problem. I think it's our big concern at the moment, and it was very difficult to drive. And then when I was on slicks, I think the front pressure was much too low, and the car was absolutely undrivable. So even if I had not stolen the engine, it would be very difficult for me to win the race in dry condition. I mean, second part of the race. But I'm a bit disappointed because it's not the way I wanted the race going. But I get 4 points, and championship is still very long, and wait and see.
Okay, Ayrton, if we can just come back to you finally now with 12 points in the World Championship lead from a season in which has been started very late for you in terms of decisions. Does this now mean that your continuation with McLaren is assured?
I'll make no comment about that. We talk so much about this thing, and I don't feel particularly good. I don't see any good things coming out of those discussions to talk in public. All I can tell you is that I don't regret at all what we have done so far under the circumstance. Not the results, but the terms that we have come through. And if I don't race in the future, I will not regret. I feel really light and happy that we made the right things. It was fantastic to all of us. I think it was fantastic for Formula 1 too. And that's all I want to know. I want to enjoy this race just as I did in Brazil after the victory, and I'll think about later on.
Well done to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.